What is going on, guys? It is a Monday afternoon. I can't really say Monday nights. You know, tonight is game 3 at Madison Square Garden. Obviously, big game tonight. And so I know a lot of people are going to be tuned into that. There's going to be a whole lot of hoopla around that. So between the fact that there are going to be people occupied and I would like to check out the game myself, I figure let's just go live as soon as Raw's over because they are still overseas. They were in Paris, France for Monday Night Raw. And thankfully, I was able to go live because Raw started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so it is not even 5 p.m. It feels weird. It feels weird to be here. I know a lot of our regulars are going to be missing here. They're going to be like, what? He went live? The show's over? That's why these things get archived after the fact. It's always there for you. You don't have to worry about that. But for those of you who are with me live, I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. And we get to talk about a Raw show that I thought was pretty good, actually. And not only was it a good show, but you wanted some unpredictability. I always hear this from people. Man, everything is so predictable. I already know who's going to win before the tournament's even over. I already know who's going to be in the main event of this show. I know who's going to be in the main event of that show. Well, you can't say that right now when it comes to the King and Queen of the Ring, and more specifically, the King of the Ring tournament, especially not after this episode of Raw. Now, what I'm going to do right now is put up on the screen the current updated bracket for the King of the Ring tournament. And I will direct your attention to the upper right-hand corner because tonight we had a 4-way match. It was Seth Rollins, Javon Evans, Talla Tonga. It's bad enough we got the MFTs on Fridays. Now we have them on Mondays. And Ricky Saints. And most people would have assumed that Seth Rollins was at least going to the finals, if not winning the entire thing. But oh no. Seth Rollins has been bounced from the King of the Ring tournament thanks to Braun Breaker and The Vision. And going on to the semifinals is the young OG Javon Evans. And you know what? I love it. I love the unpredictability of this. I love the unpredictability of this because I agree. So much of what we see now and so much of what we see on WWE television specifically is very predictable. That it's nice when they shake things up a little bit like this, and it's good to see Javon Evans pick up a nice unexpected win here. But I also want to point out something else that I realized when this show was over. When I updated the images here, and you'll see here in a moment because I'm going to show you the Queen of the Ring as well. There you go. I want you guys to take a look at what you see on your screen right now with the Queen of the Ring tournament. What is the common thread here with these tournaments? I want you to look. We have Liv Morgan, who advanced tonight. She's going on to the semifinals. Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez. Now I'm going to bring up the King of the Ring. Oba Femi, Dominic Mysterio, Javon Evans. Not a single SmackDown star has advanced so far in either tournament. SmackDown's like the Cavaliers. They are being shut out. Possibly even like the Spurs. I'm not looking to jinx anything. But they have been swept so far. There is not a single representative of SmackDown that has made it into the semifinal round of either of these tournaments. And what that tells me, as we look at the bottom right hand of your screen right now in the King of the Ring bracket, on Friday night, this coming Friday, it's going to be Jey Uso, LA Knight, Royce Keys, and Finn Balor. And they were making a big deal on TV last week that Finn Balor is making his SmackDown debut this coming Friday because he's been traded from Raw to SmackDown. I look at that match on Friday and I say, how could it be anybody other than a member of the SmackDown roster? I mean, how ridiculous would it be if they just had all Raw talents go over in this tournament? A SmackDown star has to win on Friday. You will completely bury SmackDown if Royce Keys or Finn Balor does not make it to the next round of this tournament. And I would be cool, honestly, with either one of them. I'd be fine with either one of them winning. I do think there is a pathway here for Finn Balor to win. You have Dominic Mysterio, by the way, on the other side of the bracket. How funny would it be if we end up with a Balor and Dom final in the King of the Ring tournament? I'm not saying I want to see that, but we have the possibility that we could very well see Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio meet yet again. Even though we've already seen it, that is now a potential final for the King of the Ring tournament. Are we looking at a scenario where Finn Balor is going to get a renewed push on SmackDown. He actually wins the crown, King Balor. And he gets to choose the champion, which of course would be Cody Rhodes, because they just traded him to SmackDown. He's not going to challenge Roman Reigns. Could we get Finn Balor and Cody Rhodes as the WWE Championship match at SummerSlam? I mean, it seems so unlikely. If you just look at the path that Balor's career has taken over the last several years, it is almost impossible for me to conceive that they would look at that as a WWE Championship match on a big stadium show like SummerSlam. I can't rule it out. If they're serious about pushing Finn Balor, that would certainly be one way to do it. He still has a lot of fans out there who were hoping for a world title run. I had already given up on the idea. I mean, can you blame me? We haven't been given any sort of indication that they're serious about pushing him as a world champion. Why would I expect him to win King of the Ring and go on to main event SummerSlam? But we could see Royce Keys go on. It could be Royce Keys and Javon Evans in the next round. And then maybe we end up with Obafemi and Royce Keys. And what a final that would be. It's just, again, it has thrown everything into a state of disarray here where you want to look at this bracket and you just say, how can anybody other than Obafemi walk away with the crown here? But we had Obafemi on TV tonight talking about Brock Lesnar yet again, calling him a big bad bitch. So if Brock Lesnar, who just beat this man, did not have a real reason to want to extract some measure of revenge on him, I would say Obafemi going out there on live television and calling him a bitch, that might aggravate Brock Lesnar a little bit. It is still possible Brock Lesnar could screw Obafemi out of the crown. So it is not a foregone conclusion that he's going to win. But at this moment, as we sit here, you really look at it and go, how could it be anybody other than Oba? But it almost doesn't make any sense. He's still out there talking about Brock. You've got this big SummerSlam show coming up in Minneapolis. You have to imagine Brock is going to have a match on that show. And the only match that makes sense for Brock the next time we see him in the ring, it's not Gunther, it's not anybody. It's the man that is on television talking about him and insulting him. So the next time we see him, it will be against Obafemi. I cannot imagine a SummerSlam show in Minneapolis without having Brock Lesnar in the ring on that show. So if they're going to do Oba and Brock, that would seem to rule him out. But this is what I'm talking about when it comes to like the unpredictability element of it. This could go any number of ways. Maybe it goes another unpredictable way that we're not even thinking of, where you have somebody like a Javon Evans who goes all the way to the finals and ends up getting bounced before he even makes it to the ring. And then they slot somebody else in there that we're not even thinking about. Drew McIntyre still hasn't come back yet. Randy Orton still hasn't come back yet. They could pull a fast one on us and actually substitute one of those guys in the finals for somebody who gets bounced. Maybe they get attacked off camera. There's anything that could happen here. But I like it. I like the unpredictable element of what we're seeing here. I think is a good thing. Now let me bring up the Queen of the Ring bracket again. Again, all Raw stars so far. Liv Morgan, Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez. Liv Morgan picked up a win tonight. She will meet the winner of the match now coming up, I believe it's this Friday, between Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, Lyra Valkyria, and Sol Ruca, the two of whom had an Intercontinental title match tonight. And again, I look at this and how can I sit here and in my head picture an entire bracket of just nothing but Raw talents without burying the women's division on SmackDown? How do you do that without burying your women's division on SmackDown? Well, the two SmackDown women are Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill. Of those two, it would seem a hell of a lot more likely that if we were going to get Liv Morgan against somebody, it would be Charlotte Flair and not Jade Cargill. I don't think anybody's asking for Liv Morgan against Jade Cargill. So to me, the chances of Charlotte winning just went up that much more because you got to get somebody in there from that SmackDown side. I mean, it's so lopsided right now. It's just almost unbelievable. So this is where things stand right now in terms of the two tournaments. But to go back to Oba for a second, there was nobody on this show in Paris who was more over than Obafemi. The reaction he got from the moment he walked out there until the moment he went to the back was unlike anything I saw anybody else getting on this show. The only thing that might have rivaled it if he was there would have been Roman Reigns, and he was not there. Roman will be back on the show in Baltimore next week. Remember, next week is the big Baltimore stop, We started the month in Italy. Tonight, it was Paris, France. We still have London, England coming up in a couple of weeks, but next week, it's Baltimore. So that is when Roman Reigns will be back on the show. Now, we also had 2 Intercontinental title matches on this show. Rey Mysterio challenging Penta, and we had Ruca in her first defense against Lyra Valkyria, so we're going to talk about that. The Chad Gable Apology Tour, which started on SmackDown this past Friday, continued here on this show. And he actually got in the ring and did some stuff. We'll talk about Gable. So there was a lot going on, which is good. I like it when there's a lot going on. Makes the shows a lot more palatable. That and having a hot-ass crowd like Paris. Hat tip to, I don't have my hat on, but hat tip to Paris. We got a great crowd here for this show. We also have some news because it was announced earlier today that Money in the Bank, man, it has been bounced around more than a rubber ball. So Money in the Bank originally was going to be at the end of August, and then it was moved to the beginning of September. It is now moved again. There's no guarantee it won't move for a 4th time. Money in the Bank will now take place instead of on a Sunday. It will take place on a Saturday, October 10th, in New Orleans. That's the make good for New Orleans not getting WrestleMania this year. Hardly a comparable make good. But I think they're supposed to get WrestleMania at some point down the line. So Money in the Bank moved, and there's a lot of people asking, well, why would they do this? Why was the show moved? Oh, there's other events going on that weekend. Whatever the reason was, they made another announcement on Raw tonight. There will be an event on Sunday, September 6th. It just won't be Money in the Bank. Instead, it will be Saturday night's main event, which is on a Sunday. So in the logo, they literally put a little X over Saturday and wrote the word Sunday in above it. It will be a special edition of Sunday night's main event. They have replaced Money in the Bank with Sunday night's main event, which will be airing on Peacock. So that will be on Sunday, September 6th. Are you keeping track of all this? Good. Because it may end up changing again. So that was the big news of the day. And that event on the 6th will be taking place at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. We got a lot to get into, so let's talk about it here. It is now 5 o'clock on a Monday. This is your Raw review. I am the Solomonster. It is Monday night, June 8th, 2026. I know it's a little earlier than usual, but for those of you who are with me, salute. I appreciate it. I could appreciate it even more if you hit that subscribe button. If you're new here, hit the like button as well. Super chats are open. We had some that came in before the stream. I don't know how many more will come in, but hopefully some. I will read your messages as they come in. And again, this may be a futile exercise here, but we're going to spin the wheel. Apparently, we're not going to spin the wheel, so forget that. The wheel. Oh my God, the wheel has disappeared. What happened with the wheel? Error establishing a database connection. Well, I guess the wheel is out. The wheel is out. So I'm gonna pick a number then, as the wheel will have to get fixed. And because we went live earlier than usual, I'll say 300. So 300. No, there's no nicks to counter program me. Not tonight. I made sure of that. 300 likes is the minimum that we need. If we hit 300, we will do Be the Booker. It'll probably be the earliest Be the Booker that we've done in a very long time. We're at 160 right now. So 300 is the goal. Man, I don't know what happened to my wheel. I think he did. Look at this. Danhausen cursed the wheel. Maybe it's too early for the wheel. Yes, the wheel is one of the regulars that is not joining us right now, apparently. I'll have to look into that. Hopefully it's not gone for good. They opened the show with the Ruler, Obafemi, making his way down to the ring. The reaction to Obafemi in Paris was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And he strutted down to the ring. It's one of those reactions that you just wish you could bottle up and take with you to every city that you go to. But he said Paul Heyman, who was not there tonight, they said Paul Heyman was not medically cleared after what happened last week when he got speared through the barricade accidentally by Braun Breaker. But he said Paul Heyman, he doesn't believe in predictions. He believes in spoilers. And so does he. And he has a little spoiler for Paris tonight, which is that he's going to run through every single man in the King of the Ring tournament, and he will meet that last man at Night of Champions. And their journey ends there because he will destroy them as well. And when he does, he will take his rightful place upon the throne as our brand new King of the Ring. And that is not a prediction. That is a spoiler. So saith Obafemi. But he said the ruler needs a crown in order to be the ruler, but there's one trophy he has yet to collect, and that is the head of Brock Lesnar. Brock disappeared after getting even. He cheated, and he attacked when Oba wasn't looking. He attacked him from behind. The only thing he's seen in the last 3 weeks is a big bad bitch. Said Brock can't stay away forever. Oba will settle the score once he sees him. So then Dominic Mysterio's music hits. Out comes the AAA Mega Champion. Massive heat. They were trying to drown him out with booze as he tried to speak. He said Oba should be worried about him, not Brock. And he asked the rookie, how long have you even been here for? He goes, you're talking to a 20-year veteran here. Actually, in August, it'll be 21. He'll be a 21-year veteran. Been around a long time. When do they put him in the Hall of Fame? He said he's the king of the luchadors, and once he's the king of the ring, he will rule over Oba. And Dom suggests that Oba makes it easy for himself, bend the knee, and respect the stash. So JD McDonough snuck in the ring behind Oba, hit him in the back with a chair. Oba just totally no-sold it. He looked more annoyed than anything else. He punched the chair back into McDonough's face. Dom, meanwhile, gets into the ring, and he hits a 619. He went to the top rope. He went for a frog splash, but on the way down, he got caught and he got tossed by Oba. And so McDonough pulled Dom out of the ring to safety before Oba could go for the fall from grace. You got to save that for next week. You can't give that away here. And Oba says, we all know that Rey Mysterio is your father, but next week I'm going to introduce you to your daddy, which was a great line. That was a great closing line here for this promo. Man, this crowd was just off the charts here for this segment, especially for Oba. And we haven't seen Dom get that kind of heat in a while. And it was the same for Oba in Italy. So the recurring theme here is that no matter where they go, whether they're in the States, whether they're in a foreign country, the people are behind Obafemi. And him losing to Brock Lesnar didn't kill him. I knew it wouldn't kill him. I mean, I still don't think it was ideal for him to lose, but he gets these reactions everywhere he goes. He's super over. I mean, they have made a new star. Now the key is, of course, how do you book him going forward? But yeah, the reaction here was just massive. And now we'll see, the match next week with Dom. That's next Monday in Baltimore. After what Oba said here about Lesnar, calling him a bitch, if Brock were to show up next week or in the finals and cost Oba the crown and screw him out of a win, at least now, him having said that, it gives him more of a reason to show up. Because that was my thing, with Brock winning, it's like, well, if Brock shows up now and screws Oba out of the King of the Ring, why? You know what I mean? Like the last time we saw them, he beat him. He beat him in the middle of the ring and even the score. Why would he, travel to wherever they're going to be just to screw him out of a win? Well, now he's been called out. You had a guy in the ring here calling this man a bitch. I would say that's going to make him very angry. And so we'll see. Again, there's no guarantee that Brock is going to screw him out of the crown because you look at the bracket right now as it is, and I'll put it up on the screen again. But you look at this, and the only name that really, truly makes sense to go on to win this fucking tournament is Obafemi. This is his to lose. This is his tournament to lose. As unpredictable as they've made it so far, it may not be him. And maybe Brock will show up. But as things stand right now, this is Obafemi's tournament to lose. And if he wins, apparently you can pick the champion that you want to wrestle. I would imagine the match would be Roman Reigns against Obafemi and not Obafemi against Cody Rhodes. But this is the way the bracket looks as of this moment. Jackie Redmond. She's been out. She's been on assignment, I think NHL duties. But she was back. She was backstage with Seth Rollins. And he wanted to explain to her, or she wanted to know from him, are you done with the Vision? Spoiler, the answer is no. No, he is not. I don't think he'll ever be done with the Vision. Says the last time he was in Paris, he was the world heavyweight champion. He was the leader of the Vision. The Vision, though, is in the past. It's in the rear view. King of the Ring is the future. He'll win, take back the world heavyweight championship that he never lost. That means he has a date somewhere down the line with Roman Reigns. Well, yes, that date would be SummerSlam, Seth. You got to pay attention to what they say on your own show. If I win the King of the Ring, at some point I'll be wrestling Roman Reigns. Yes, it would be in August at SummerSlam. We had another first round four-way in the Queen of the Ring tournament with the Women's World Champion Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, and Chelsea Green. Ricky said, YouTube did not send me the notification. Well, that's typical YouTube for you. Of course they didn't. Well, I'm glad you made it anyway. No thanks to YouTube. But you look at the four names in this match. Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Chelsea Green. That's a lot of championships between those women. And the loudest reaction, by the way, for any of these women coming out was for Alexa Bliss. She was the first one out, and they went crazy for her. Jessica Carr was the referee, so of course we had issues at one point. Becky did with her officiating. Are we ever going to get a payoff to this? Who knows? Alexa shrugged off a manhandle slam attempt. Chelsea delivered a missile drop kick to take down Becky. And Liv hit a powerbomb on Chelsea. Bliss broke up the pin, though, with a twisted Bliss off the top. And Becky broke up her pin attempt. So Becky tossed Chelsea and Liv to the floor. She went for a manhandle slam on Alexa, who countered out of that. Morgan went for Oblivion. Bliss, though, held onto the ropes, and she countered it into her sister Abigail DDT. Becky pulled her off the pin attempt, though, and dropped Bliss with a manhandle slam. But when she went for the pin, Chelsea grabbed her up and hit an unpretty her to Becky. But here comes Liv Morgan. Liv flies in with a jackknife pin to Chelsea and gets the 3 count to win the match and advance to the next round of the Queen of the Ring. So we had some good action here. Alexa, no luck for her. Becky, no luck for her. Chelsea, she wasn't winning this. So Liv is the one who advances. So if Liv Morgan wins the Queen of the Ring, she gets to fight herself. Because look, she could pick the champion she wants to wrestle. She could technically fight herself at Summers. That's what I would do. You know, you get the big entrance. You know what I mean? Like, you still get to make a big entrance at SummerSlam, and you get to be in front of all these people. And then at that point, you could just, whatever. You could fight yourself, play with yourself, whatever you want to do. But you're going to keep your championship either way. If you beat yourself, which, you know, in the King of the Ring would have a very different, connotation than it would in the Queen of the Ring. But if you beat yourself, you're still the champion. That's the beauty of it. You could beat yourself and still walk out with the championship. It's an easy night. There's no rule. There's no bylaw against it. I'm just saying. Imagine if Liv faced herself. I'm saying, hey, there's no rule against it. She could technically fight herself. Now, Liv winning here, this did seem like the obvious outcome after what we saw Friday night. Because Dom winning was a big surprise on SmackDown. And once Dominic won on Friday, it was like they're really pushing this idea of King Dom and Queen Liv. Neither one of them are going to win. And maybe they'll go to the finals. Maybe one of them will go to the finals. But for the time being, they seem to really want to push this narrative where it's like, this could become a thing, where we could get King Dom and Queen Liv. And so all of a sudden, her winning here in this round seemed a little more likely. There was no sign of Stephanie Vicaire, who supposedly is medically cleared. They're just waiting to reintroduce her. I thought maybe it would happen here, but there was no Stephanie. She still may show up. She may show up in the next round. So without her showing up in this match, Liv wasn't losing. I mean, Liv is the women's world champion. Unless somebody shows up and screws her out of a win, she wasn't losing this match. So we're looking at Liv Morgan against Charlotte Flair. Let me bring the bracket up again. We're looking at this in the next round. Liv Morgan against Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, Sol Ruca, or Lyra Valkyria. Now, that match is going to be taking place on SmackDown this coming Friday. To me, I look at this, and it's either Charlotte or Lyra. I would actually not rule out Lyra, who was not successful tonight in her title bid against Sol Ruca, but I would not count her out for at least moving on to the next round before she gets bounced. But again, it's so lopsided right now in favor of Monday Night Raw. You got to have one of these SmackDown stars move. You have to. It's just such a burial of that division if they don't. And Jade against Liv, I can't imagine that being the next round match. So to me, this just makes a Charlotte Flair win that much more likely. And I think we get Charlotte and Liv in the next round. And at that point, honestly, a lot of it depends on what happens in the Io and Raquel match next week. Are they setting up for a Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez all Judgment Day final? To me, that would be very lame. You know, you just put the Judgment Day, who are both heels, by the way, and you put both of them in the finals. There are ways for you to tell the story with Liv and Raquel or get to a match between them without sacrificing the entire fucking tournament to get there. I don't like that. I want Io in the finals of this thing. Whether it's Io and Liv or Io and Charlotte. I think that's the final that we're looking at here in this tournament, just because we got to get somebody from SmackDown in there. Maybe not in the finals, but we got to get somebody in there from SmackDown. I'm sorry. Now, they pitched it to a video package after this, hyping up tonight's the men's Intercontinental title match between Penta and Rey Mysterio. They both like each other. They both respect each other, blah, blah, blah. So then we go live backstage. Penta is warming up, and a wild Chad Gable appears. And he is in his gear. And he says, you know, Phoenix said some stuff to him last week on SmackDown that really got him thinking. He kind of went nuts last year after he lost to Penta. It really all started there, he said, because he lost to Penta in Penta's debut match in January of last year on Monday Night Raw. And so that's kind of where this whole downward spiral for him began. He took the loss like a coward, and now he wanted to look Penta in the eye and apologize. And Penta said, look, I love everything about Lucha Libre, and I love my brother, but if you want to do right by Lucha Libre, he knows who he needs to talk to. And Chad looked like he also knew who he needed to talk to, and so off he went. Now, elsewhere in the back, Seth Rollins was approached by Montez Ford. These guys are like BFFs now. They're cool now. They're cool now. So the two of them embraced, and Ford wished him good luck tonight in his King of the Ring match. Seth thanked him for last week and asked him how's Dawkins doing. And before he could really get into it, the Bloodline shows up. All minus the most important member of the Bloodline, who was not there in Paris. Roman Reigns was not on this show. But we got the Usos and we got Jacob Fatu. And Jey Uso says that Seth ought to be careful when talking about Roman. And he says, you know, I'm in the King of the Ring, and he's going to win. He's going to go on to beat Cody. God for fucking bid. Seth congratulates Jey for being in the tournament. He mocks Big Jim for not being in it. Instead, you're on the sidelines right where Roman wants you to be. He thought the Usos were better than just doing Roman's business, but maybe being bag boys for him is the best they could ever do. So Jey tells Jacob to go get him. And Jacob ends up staring Seth in the face. They kind of come nose to nose. And then Jacob just walks off. Now, when this was over, Michael Cole reminded us that Fatu acknowledged Roman, and he pledged his fealty, he pledged his allegiance and his loyalty to Roman. He did not do that for the Usos, so he doesn't have to take orders from them. Hey, Jesse says, finally made alive. At 5:23 p.m., he was able to finally make one of these live streams. Well, I'm happy to have you. So anyway, Roman, by the way, not only was he not on the show tonight, he is not on the poster that dropped today for Night of Champions. They have Cody as the WWE champion front and center on the poster. They have Cody, they have Rhea, they have Liv, and they have, they have, is it Tiffany? Might be Tiffany Stratton. But there's no Roman Reigns on the poster, so he will not be in Riyadh either for Night of Champions. We had Sol Ruca against Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Sol nailed a missile drop kick from the middle rope late in the match, and then on a springboard attempt, coming back into the ring, Lyra cut her off. Sol ended up draped, just kind of hanging there over the top rope. And that allowed Lyra to hit a drop kick off the middle rope right across the neck. Sol flipped out of a tornado DDT attempt on the landing. Hey, Barry. Barry, what's going on? Thank you for the $15 Scream for Kyrie super chat. Thank you, sir. Again, I'm going to be reading all your messages in a little bit, so get them on in. It's a rare live for Olivia as well. Bulgaria is off. Oh, you're in Bulgaria. Well, I haven't gotten to Rusev yet. Rusev was on the show. See, we got people from all over the world who tune into these things. And you forget that sometimes, like in their time zones, they can't make the usual live streams. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, I would still expect you to be here, but okay, you know, I get it. I understand. I'm just saying, if you were a real fan, 4:30 in the morning, that's no excuse. Anyway, so Lyra then blocked an X Factor with her hands before her face smashed into the mat. She kind of did a handstand as a counter. She tried for Nightwing, no dice on that. Then Lyra blocked a Soul Snatcher attempt. And then they did this spot where Lyra threw a kick that missed. Soul moved out of the way, and Lyra got her foot caught up in the ropes right near the corner, which allowed Soul to hit the Soul Snatcher. And she pinned her, and she retained the championship. I thought it was a solid enough match here for the 7 or so minutes that they got. I thought it was a nice first title defense for Soul. Not like a great match or anything like that, but it was fine. And it was a way to kind of, you know, feed her that first win since she won the championship. And they were in front of the right crowd for it, too, because they loved this match. After this, we got highlights of Jacob Fatu on bended knee, acknowledging Roman Reigns last week after losing Tribal Combat. We go backstage where Jey Uso confronts Jacob, and he's asking him what that was before. We're on the same team, Us. You got to listen to us. So Jimmy said that they call the plays. You're supposed to run it. Jacob didn't like that. He said, I didn't acknowledge you, and I sure as hell didn't acknowledge Jay's punk ass. Says that you guys are so worried about me. What you need to be doing is be worried about your boy, LA Knight, who's been running his mouth about the family. You got to be focused on him. Speaking of which, after a commercial, LA Knight was out to the ring, and we had a funny moment here as LA Knight got into the ring where Berkeley, the timekeeper at ringside, the son of the Shockmaster, he is Tugboat's son, he threw the microphone into the ring, but he overshot LA Knight. It went sailing over his head, and it landed on the mat. And the fans booed. I don't think they were booing LA Knight. I think they were booing Berkeley. And so Knight picked up the mic. He threw it back at Berkeley, took his glasses off. He was waiting for it. So he threw it back into the ring. This time he caught it, and the fans cheered. So we had a little funny moment there. So he talked about his King of the Ring match coming up on SmackDown this Friday. And the fans started chanting OTC. He said, look, I don't even blame you guys for chanting that because you've all been fooled. Roman has all of you fooled. He's heard what they say about, you know, the bloodline, that is, about not talking about the family. But unlike them, he doesn't have a tribal chief. Let's say he goes to the finals and he wins King of the Ring and he faces Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. Says, you can't think that every member of the bloodline isn't going to get involved in that match just to make sure that Roman is still the champion. And guess who's going to put the rubber stamp on it? Adam Pearce. He's not saying Adam Pearce is in the bloodline's pocket, but there's a difference, a clear difference in the way that he addresses LA Knight as opposed to the way he addresses Roman Reigns. And he goes, that's okay. He may be unchosen, but every single one of you fans, you've chosen me, and they all cheer. And he's going to make us one promise. He doesn't know how to quit. He doesn't know how to stop. And he wants to wish every single man in that match on Friday good luck, including Jey Uso. And he hopes that Jey can do it on his own without calling his whole damn family down to ringside. So that brought out Jey Uso. And he came out to the ring by himself, and he got on the ropes, and he yeeted, and the fans yeeted right along with him, and he started to speak. Paris wanted him to run it back. So he puts the mic down, they play his music, and he starts to run it back yet again. Knight, he goes back on the mic, interrupts, and says, "You can't possibly expect me to stand here and watch this." So Jay gets back on the mic, and he is winded as fuck. He's already gassed. Wasn't expecting to run it back, I guess. So every line out of his mouth, you could eat, like he's taking the oxygen in, and he's speaking a little. This is how he cuts his promos anywhere. He speaks in these like sentence fragments. But Jay told him, he goes, he needs Knight to stay in his own lane. He's still main event Jey Uso, and on Friday night, he's going to show him who the hell he is. This is your warning shot. And then he did the finger salute. So Jay left. He made it maybe halfway down the aisle. And Knight was not done. He gets on the mic. He tells him, cut his music. And the fans booed. And Knight said, look, I get it. I don't fault you for booing. I know you all like doing the whole yeet thing. Hey, I like doing it too. But he looked over at Jay in the aisle and he said, you know, he thinks he misunderstands who he is. He loves the fact that Jay is so protective of his family. He goes, that's how a good man should be. And again, he wants to wish him good luck on Friday. And from the bottom of his heart, screw your family. So Jay pulls off his tank top. He comes marching down to the ring. Before he could get to the ring, though, he sprints down and he stops him from getting inside. And that's how things concluded here. So they are continuing this story with LA Knight and the Bloodline. It is leading somewhere. At least they have him in a story. Because as he was saying in that interview he did last week with Chris Van Vliet, you know, the reason that some of his reactions have diminished, and honestly, I don't think his reactions have diminished. But in his mind, I guess, you know, he's in the arenas and he feels maybe in some cities anywhere that it's not quite as loud or as intense as they used to be. And he credits that to the fact that he is a man kind of without a country. He's on these shows and sometimes he has no real sense of direction. So it's hard to really get behind him because he doesn't sink his teeth. He doesn't have anything to sink his teeth into. And so here, at least they have some kind of story for him. But the question is, where is this story leading? Now, LA Knight is in the King of the Ring tournament. LA Knight could win the King of the Ring and then challenge Roman Reigns at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship. I just find it very hard to believe. Like, we have already passed that point with LA Knight where I will kind of give them the benefit of the doubt and say, well, he seems like, you know, the fans are still behind him and there's a story there now. So maybe he's the one. Maybe he's going to win the crown. Like, it's just so beyond my comprehension that they would actually have him win the tournament and headline one of those 2 nights of SummerSlam. I just don't see it. It would be great, but I don't see it happening. So where this story, if not that, where the story goes with him, I don't know. It was very interesting how he was getting boos because people just, you know, they like the Bloodline and they like Roman, even though Roman's a dick. And so they chant OTC and he's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, he's cool and everything. But so like they have a lot of fans. And so he was kind of getting some blowback here. That will be interesting to see if that continues once they're back in the States. Because I haven't really noticed that up until this point where they were booing things that he was saying. This is like the first time I've really noticed that. I don't know if it ends. Look, I said the other day on the Sound Of yesterday, I still think that LA Knight has a good heel, main event caliber heel run in him. I just don't see them pushing him as like a World Heavyweight Championship babyface on the show. I just don't see it. If it takes turning him heel and having him maybe fill a need on one of these 2 shows where they need heels, then maybe that's the way to go. Because I've all but given up on him getting any sort of serious, meaningful push as a babyface on these shows. Let them prove me wrong. Let him win King of the Ring and go on to main event SummerSlam. Let him prove me wrong. But I just don't see it. In the back, Chad Gable. He approached Rey Mysterio, who was in deep conversation with Dragon Lee. Lee cut him off quickly and said, look, despite Gable taking Lee's mask off at one point, now he knows. Now he understands the importance and the significance of the mask in Lucha Libre. It's all about respect. Ray told Gable, look, you got to stop beating yourself up over all this. After watching your mask versus mask match, that was true lucha libre. Says, I felt that. So consider your apology accepted. So Gable looked relieved and he thanked them and he went to go exit and Ray stopped him. And Ray said, look, I'm not really one to judge, but you may want to look back a little bit further because I'm pretty sure you've said and done some things that you might regret way before you ever put that mask on. Just think about that. So what he was getting at here was the way that Gable was treating the Alpha Academy. He used to bully them. He would bully Otis and Tozawa and Maxine. And I'm like, this is like a 12-step program that this guy is on where I have to go find all of these people that I have wronged and let down and I have to apologize, you know? And so now he's going to have to go and apologize to the Alpha Academy. And I'm watching this and I'm like, please don't tell me that they are going to have, they're going to work the Maxine stuff in here and have a situation where Gable almost ends up like the concerned father. Like his daughter is dating somebody he doesn't approve of. And we end up with like Gable feuding with or having a match with Austin Theory. No, let's not go there. If they're going to have him in one segment as like a one-off, go ahead and apologize to Otis and all of them. Fine. It should not be more than that. I do not want Chad Gable to reassociate himself with Alpha Academy. That'd be like the worst thing they could do. Okay, it's beneath him at this point. So if you want to have him apologize, go ahead and get it over with and then let him move on to other things. Please do not resume the relationship with him and Alpha Academy. I don't want to see him on screen with Alpha Academy week in and week out. It's the worst thing you could do. It's got a good thing going right now. It's far above the level that Alpha Academy is at right now. But then we had Rey Mysterio challenging Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. There was a Poison Rana late in the match where Ray, where he landed on his own head and neck. It looked like he spiked himself into the mat. Even the announcers made mention of it. And he certainly got the worst of it, but he recovered. He seemed to be okay. He knocked Penta into the ropes. He hit a 619. He dropped the dime. He hooked the leg. And there was a very close near fall where Penta kicked out. So we got this is awesome chance. Now they're slugging it out back and forth. Penta driver gets countered. Ray rolls through. He knocks him into the ropes again for another 619. And then Ray goes off the top rope, but Penta gets the knees up on the big splash. And then he followed up with the Mexican Destroyer and Penta pinned him to retain the title. Now, I made the mistake of watching this show because I saw the show was going on at 2 p.m. Eastern across Netflix in all regions. I'm like, you know what? I don't think I need the VPN for today. So I watched the show just normally without the VPN. So I got all the commercials and everything. Big mistake. That's my mistake. They took 2 commercial breaks during this match with 8 commercials each. So we had 16 fucking commercials in the middle of this match. So I didn't really see more than half the match. I can only comment on what I saw. What I saw was good. Maybe there was even better stuff during the commercials that I did not see. My bad. That's on me. 16 commercials in the middle of this match. Are you fucking kidding me? So again, what little I saw I thought was good because it was 8 ads the first time, 8 ads the second time. It's just ridiculous. You miss at least half, if not more than half the damn match when you do that. Now, when the match was over, Rusev and Ethan Page, they attacked them both in the ring. Dragon Lee ran out to make the save. He sent Page out over the top rope to the floor. Then he was going to go fly out onto Rusev. Page, though, grabbed his foot. He dragged him out of the ring, and then he sent him hard into and over the timekeeper's barricade. So then in the ring, Rusev, he rips the mask right off Rey Mysterio's head. And he's covering up, and Penta goes over to kind of cover his head, and he's holding it like in his hand like a trophy. This brought out Chad Gable to a big pop, big reaction from the fans. Not only did it bring out Chad Gable, though, I will point out, it brought out Chad Gable to his old Alpha Academy. Fuck that. His old American Alpha theme song from NXT. Now we're going old school. Now that was a nice surprise because that's a CFO's theme. My guess is what they did here is probably what they did with Aleister Black when he came back. Because he got his old NXT music back too, but it wasn't exactly the same. You could tell Def Rebel made some changes to it. So now they can kind of own it themselves. However that process works. It was nice to hear the old music, and I hope he keeps it. So he charges down to the ring, and he drops Ethan with a German suplex. He gave Rusev a German suplex, and he folded him up with it. I mean, he took it right on the back of his neck, like one of those Brock Lesnar suplexes. More Germans, then an ankle lock applied to Ethan Page. Not for long, though. Rusev reached in, dragged him out of the ring to safety. So as Penta and Dragon Lee, they were tending to Ray. Neither one of them thought to go pick up the mask and put it back on the man's head. They're just sort of huddled over him. The reason for this is because they wanted to set up Chad Gable to be the one to do it. Chad looks over, he sees the mask laying on the floor. And he's staring at it, and he's thinking about it, he's pondering things. So he goes over, and he picks up the mask, hands it back over to them. They put the mask back on Ray's head. And it's just mutual respect between Chad Gable and the Luchadors. So that was nice. It was, again, what I saw of the match. I can't say it was, the best thing ever. I only saw part of the match. What I saw was good. I like the post-match. I like what they're doing with Chad Gable. Keep it up. Keep it up. Do not squander the opportunity that you have here to really make a star out of Chad Gable. You've had this man in your stable. You've had him under contract for 10 years. Actually, it might be more than that. It might be like 11 or 12. But the American Alpha run was like 2015 NXT. How long he was under contract with them before that, who knows? It may go all the way back to 2012 or 2013. I don't know when he first signed. But they've had him for over a decade, okay? And he's a great fucking wrestler. But he's not just a great wrestler. He's been a babyface. He's been a heel. When he was still a babyface and he was having those matches with Gunther and he never won, and there was an opportunity there to put the Intercontinental title on him and his daughter in the front row and everything, crying. Remember when he lost and she was crying? There was such a great opportunity that they didn't take it. They turned him heel. And he could be a great heel, a vicious heel, a comedy heel. He can play whatever role you need him to play. But what you saw in that AAA match last weekend, that's a guy right there who can be pushed at a main event level. Now, I'm not expecting them, honestly, to push him into the World Heavyweight Championship picture right now. And you don't have to. But what you need to do is take advantage of the situation and start pushing him as a guy who the fans can look at as a top star. Not just a middle of the card, lower card comedy guy. Take him seriously as a potential main eventer. They just brought him back to TV. So far, so good. We'll see where it goes. I talked about this on Sunday. Minneapolis, SummerSlam, that's his hometown. He was born in Minneapolis. It is the perfect place to have him and Penta wrestle and have him win the Intercontinental Championship. But whatever they have him doing on that show, he needs to A, be on the show, and B, it has to be in a match that has some significance. Do not drop the ball on this. This guy could be something special. We don't have to make comparisons and say, oh, well, he's not Obafemi. He's not, he doesn't have the size of an Obafemi, or he's not going to be Cody. He doesn't have to be. I'm not comparing him to anybody else. I'm just saying Chad Gable, right? The guy's one of one. Don't have a lot of guys like him on the roster. May not be the biggest guy, but there is no reason that you cannot push him as a main event caliber talent. That's on Triple H and the creative team to make it happen. Fans are reacting well to him so far, though. Now we go backstage. Roxanne Perez was chatting with Liv Morgan about how, you know what, you're right. Was only thinking about myself last week when I was upset. This is after she failed to win in her Queen of the Ring match, instead of looking at the bigger picture. And she wants either Liv or Raquel to go on to win, because a win for one is a win for all. Of course, does Liv Morgan feel that way? Probably not. And if the two of you face each other, she says, then, well, we can't lose. So Dom and JD McDonough show up, and Liv says, look, I have a plan for next week. I guess for Dom's match with Oba. So they walk off to go discuss it. Liv tells Roxanne, come. And she says, I'll catch up with you guys later. And she flashes a very suspicious look. She's plotting. She's plotting something. What it is, I don't know, but it's probably not good for Liv Morgan. What is the Be the Booker goal? Well, the Be the Booker goal is 300. That is a goal that I picked because, unfortunately, the wheel, as you can see, the wheel has malfunctioned. The wheel is not showing up. So 300 likes for those just joining. That is the goal. And we have already beaten the goal. Great. All right, 332. Very good. So we're going to be doing Be the Booker here in a little bit. Very soon, actually, because we're already up to the main event. They closed Monday Night Raw with another four-way, this time in the King of the Ring tournament. And it was Seth Rollins, it was Javon Evans, it was Ricky Saints, and it was everybody's favorite, Talla Tonga. Talla Tonga was in control. He was a dominant force in the opening moments here of this match. Take the wheel to the shop. I think I'm going to have to. I hope it can be repaired. I'll have to use your super chats to pay the bill once it's fixed. Talla Tonga was in control ahead of a commercial break because he's big, you see. So he was still in control of things coming out of the break until Ricky Saints shoved him into the ring post. And then Rollins and Saints, they teamed up to take Talla Tonga over the timekeeper's barricade until the Giants reached up and he grabbed Seth and Ricky by the throat. But then here comes Javon Evans. He just, I guess, running charge. He sailed over them, tackled Talla Tonga on the other side of the barricade. So it came down to Rollins and Ricky in the ring alone. Falcon Arrow by Rollins takes down Ricky. He lined up for a pedigree. Evans, though, got back inside, and he took Rollins down with a red dot for a near fall. So Evans then got a big springboard. I mean, you know the kind of height that he can get on these things. But he took a boot to the gut on the way down from Rollins. Went for a pedigree, but nope, he got out of it. Javon countered and went for a springboard something or other, but Rollins countered that into a buckle bomb attempt, except Evans rolled through. He sent Seth into the corner instead. Ricky got back in. He dropped Evans with a Revolution DDT for a close near fall. Evans with an avalanche Spanish fly to Ricky Saints takes him all the way down to the mat, but Rollins quickly grabbed Evans and hit a pedigree, and he had the match won until Talla Tonga returned. Then he reached down and he grabs Rollins by the throat, picks him up for the Talla T-Bomb. That's what they call his chokeslam, the Talla T-Bomb. Seth, though, counters out. He low-bridged the big guy out of the ring. Then Saints dumped Rollins out of the ring. He turned his attention to Evans. He was going to go for the Rochambeau or whatever the fuck Michael Cole called it. Thankfully, Corey Graves was there to quickly correct him. I think what did Cole call? He called like the Rochambeau. I don't know what he called it. It's the Rochambeau. It's not that hard to pronounce. Evans, though, slipped out. Ricky ended up on the floor, and so Javon took everybody out with this just huge dive out over the top rope to the floor. Now back inside, Rollins, Evans, and Saints, they all ended up on the ropes. They were setting up for some sort of big superplex spot. Talla Tonga comes over. We got a huge Tower of Doom spot, except Evans landed on his feet somehow. But he got mowed down by a big boot. Tonga covered him. Rollins broke it up. Rollins and Talla Tonga, they ended up outside the ring. The big guy starts ripping up the announce desk. He was going to chokeslam Rollins through the desk. Evans, though, dove out onto him. And so Evans took a chokeslam instead onto the French announce desk, which did not break. But then Rollins flew in off the American desk with a stomp to Talla Tonga onto the French announce desk. Still, the desk did not break. So then Rollins delivered a stomp off the timekeeper's barricade to Talla Tonga on the floor. He hurried inside. Ricky went for a Revolution DDT. Rollins, though, shoved him away, and he took a belly flop, and then he stomped him. And Seth Rollins had the match won here. He covered him, but then Austin Theory showed up and dragged the referee out of the ring to screw Seth Rollins out of a potential win here. Montez Ford runs out. He nails Theory from behind. The two of them fight off into the crowd. Back in the ring, though, Braun Breaker is there. And as soon as Rollins turns around, he gets cut down by a Braun Breaker spear. And again, it's no disqualification, so there's nothing the referee can do here. I mean, he could shoot him with a gun. It really wouldn't matter. Not that I'm advocating that. Saints began the slow crawl towards Seth until Evans got back inside, and he dropped him with an OG cutter. And he pins Ricky Saints. The shock win to advance to the semifinals of the King of the Ring tournament. The young OG is moving on. The Vision screws Seth Rollins out of the crown and a potential world championship match at SummerSlam, which, by the way, he could still get. Just because he didn't win King of the Ring doesn't mean they're still not going to do Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. So it all depends on who wins the tournament and which champion do they choose. They may choose Cody Rhodes, right? Who's to say that they're going to choose Roman Reigns? It all depends on who ends up winning in the end. Evans hopped the barricade. He celebrated with the fans in the front row, and the show went off the air. Didn't see that one coming. I appreciate the unpredictability that we've got here. This is good. I think this is great. But you can't help but look at this bracket here and not think that this is Obafemi's to lose. This is what it looks like right now. There's only one spot left to be filled in the next round. It will be filled by Jey Uso, LA Knight, Royce Keys, or Finn Balor. And as I pointed out at the beginning of the stream here, we need a SmackDown guy in the next round. This is pathetic. So realistically, Jey Uso and LA Knight should cancel each other out, and it should be Royce Keys or Finn Balor. And I'm skeptical about their commitment to giving Finn Balor a meaningful push. Probably more likely that it's Royce Keys moving on, and we get Keys and Evans in the next round. But again, I like the fact that we actually have unpredictability in these tournament matches here. It's hard to call. You want to say Obafemi, but he called Brock Lesnar a bitch. You have to think that Brock Lesnar is going to make him pay for that. What's the best way that Brock Lesnar can make Obafemi pay? You screw him out of the crown. You screw him out of a guaranteed world championship match at SummerSlam, which then sets up the SummerSlam finale between Oba and Brock. So then who wins? Dom? No. So realistically, it's Evans or whoever Evans is going to be wrestling. That's what we're looking at. Jey Uso, please, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on the possibility of a Jey Uso Cody Rhodes title match at SummerSlam. Fuck off with that, okay? LA Knight, you can't rule it out. LA Knight and Roman Reigns, right? He's been talking shit about the bloodline now for weeks. It's possible. But I just cannot see how you don't put a SmackDown person in there. It's sad. It's got to be Keys or it's got to be Balor. It's got to be one of those two. So right now, if I was leaning in one direction, it's Royce Keys. Not necessarily to win the entire thing, but just to at least make it into the next round and maybe go all the way to the finals. So that's what we're looking at. And that was the end of Monday Night Raw. What I thought was a good show. It was a good show also because the crowd was fucking hot the entire show. We had what I thought was a good main event. I thought we had a good women's match too in the Queen of the Ring. I thought the two tournament matches were actually good. We had a solid title defense from Sol Ruca. We had, again, what I saw of the Rey and Penta match was good. Even the back and forth with LA Knight and Jey Uso didn't say anything really, but I thought the LA Knight promo was good. And Chad Gable being on the show, that's a thumbs up right there. Obafemi in the opening segment, that was phenomenal. That was a mega star reaction. That's a world champion megastar reaction. That's like you hear that and you see that and you think that's the guy. That's the guy right there. You can throw all the shade you want because there's always going to be people hating. Oh, I don't see it. He's overhyped. I don't get it. Right. That's why. That's why he's being pushed the way he is. So I thought it was a good show. Check out your super chats here. See what we got. And then we got some Be the Booker to do. Because you guys hit the goal. More like Monday afternoon Raw. This was kind of nice. Nice little change of pace here. Get stuff done early. I was like, oh, I would like to watch the game tonight. I mean, realistically, though, the game will be on in the background. I have a lot of prep to do for the Uncrowned Wrestling show tomorrow, so it's not like I'm not going to be working tonight. But anyway, Jake, kicking us off here, says, what do you call a magician that's lost their magic? Ian, thanks again for all your content. I like that joke. Thank you. People were chanting for Oba before the start of the show. I believe it. They had a whole section. They showed a whole section of people that were holding up these signs. Hey, Rectangle, thank you. Olivia says, hey, Solo, thoughts on the movies Limitless and In Time? I'm sorry to say I have not seen either one of them. Limitless, though, that sounds familiar. Is that Bradley Cooper De Niro movie? Yeah, I didn't see it. Super Pony, that Chad Gable run-in gave me goosebumps. I'm begging these people not to fuck this up. Yeah, look who you're talking about, though. You always have to expect that they're going to fuck it up. But for Chad's sake, I hope they don't. Death Scythe. You know what? If they're going to do some kind of fuckery that takes Oba out of the King of the Ring before the finals, I would replace him with Chad Gable and have him win to challenge Cody at SummerSlam. What are your thoughts? Well, I'll tell you what. If they were going to do some sort of fuckery where there's an open spot all of a sudden, it really just depends on who he's wrestling in the finals. I feel like it would have to be a heel to get that maximum babyface reaction for a Gable win, but I'm okay with that. I think there's a way you can get there. I just don't think it fits the story they're telling with him right now. You know, with the whole Lucha Libre thing. It's probably more likely if they were going to do something like that, it's probably a lot more likely that they would have like an Orton or a Drew slotted in there at the last minute. Aaron says, no Yeet Man versus Cody with a prayer emoji. Yes, we are all praying that we do not get that. And if you are praying for it, I would like an honest answer from you as to why. Why do you feel that is the strongest championship match that they could do for the WWE? Is there anybody who is honestly wishing for that match? Do we need the bloodline in both title matches at SummerSlam? The answer is no. But I would love to know what your rationale is for that. Super Pony says, I guess LA Knight is actually going to win the tournament. LOL. Him against Roman at SummerSlam does nothing for me, unfortunately. No, I don't think that he is necessarily going to win the tournament. I would not assume that. I think we need somebody from SmackDown to move on. Death Scythe says, also, I think they could do a Hiroki Goto type story with LA Knight where he finally wins the big one at 45 or something like that. What are your thoughts on it? No. The Hiroki Goto story was unique to Goto. I also would not be drawing attention to the fact that LA Knight is in his mid-40s. I don't think that's something you want to actively draw attention to and make part of the story. So for him, no, I don't think that works for him. Olivia says, Mark Davis or Bronson Reed? Who you got? Well, hey, two big Aussies, man. I'm going to go Mark Davis. I gotta support my guy. Mark Davis. Aaron with the $9.99 says, maybe Oba makes it to the finals, but gets taken out by Brock, so there's a slot open. Randy returns, beats Javon, faces Cody. Then Oba Brock, Seth Roman. After Seth faces Braun at Saturday night's main event, or Night of Champions. And Randy Cody at SummerSlam. All of that is very plausible. Because if Brock screws over Oba, it doesn't necessarily have to be on the finish. He could screw him before he even gets to the ring. And then the general managers are, they're all panicking. Oh my God, what are we going to do? We have to come up with a replacement. And you kind of just go from there. So you could do that. Andy Mitchell says, finally, I get to watch at UK from Scotland. Oh, joining the stream. Well, welcome. You're not going to get too many of these, so enjoy them while they last. ASU Amy, call him over, Femi. Oh, man. I want to hit the sound effect, but I don't want to do that to Amy. They love the ruler in Paris, France. They can have all the Raws in Paris as far as I'm concerned. I'd be okay with that. You know what was great about the show also tonight? Not a lot of singing. It gets old after a while. They were just like really vocally loud. Very limited on like the chants or the songs and stuff, which we've gotten in other places. I don't know, I'm sorry, it just gets old. I'm sure if Roman was on the show, they would have had that stupid Roman Reigns song, but it was nice, not even like, it wasn't even about that. It was like they were cheering the people who were out there. That was nice. We got GMB is with us. Raquel winning Queen of the Ring, Jay winning King of the Ring equals a scary thought. Yeah, that is a very scary thought. Let's not put that into the universe. Philip Bowman, you could beat yourself. Solomonster 2026. Would you buy that if I put that on a t-shirt? That's the question. We got Barry with the 15. What if one of the losers of the tournament steals Liv's title, dresses up like her, so Liv will have to challenge herself to still be the champion? I'd rather she just wrestle herself if we were going to do that. This is all very stupid. Olivia says, rare live for me too, Bulgaria. Shout out to all my fans in Bulgaria. There was 1 week not that long ago, I checked the stats, and the sound off, I think, was like number 2. Maybe we were number 1. We might have been number 1 in Bulgaria. I think we were. We were number 1. We were number 1 in Bulgaria a few weeks ago. Take that, Cornette. They like me more than Cornette in Bulgaria. I'll take it. I will take it. Super Pony says, random thought, but Money in the Bank is in October. And if Owens is back by then, he should absolutely win the briefcase. Well, I'll tell you what. If he is back by then, I would not be against that. Kevin Owens is great. He is missed. The sooner we get him back, the better. I don't know why this skipped the beat before. I missed Abyssal Zones. Abyssal Zone says, another depressing thought that I've had is, what if Oba wins King of the Ring, but it's the SummerSlam match with Roman that Brock costs him? I'm going to put your mind at ease there. That's not going to happen. They're not going to limit Brock's involvement on that Minneapolis show to a run-in. So I don't think you need to worry about that. Alexander says Jey Uso has Ultimate Warrior levels of cardio. He doesn't have Ultimate Warrior levels of muscles, though. Cardio levels are probably comparable, though. Olivia says, if Cody has his own heel faction, who do you include? If Cody ever had his own heel faction, I'm almost certain that Ricky Saints would end up in there. Beyond that, I don't know, but I could see Ricky Saints. I could see Royce Keys if they ever turn Royce Keys heel. It'd be like Team AEW. Prince Vegeta with a $9.99. It makes no sense for Jey Uso of all people to follow Roman. 5 years ago, yes, but he's a made man. He's been a world champion, not a very good world champion, but a world champion nonetheless. Dude, I mean, none of this makes any sense. I get the whole like family honor and everything like that, but like to just fall in line. I said this last week. Like they've regressed. They progressed the characters and they've just regressed back to the way they were 3 years ago. It's lazy. And Mike says Gable should be pushed like early 2000s Kurt Angle. Guy can have any type of match just like Angle back in the day. Yes, and just like Angle back in the day, again, he can play any role that you need him to play. Like Angle started out as like the goofy guy who could wrestle. And then later on, like a few years later, he was like this killer in the ring. Like, he was scary. He had that look in his eyes, like he was a machine. Gable is similar in that he can play any role you throw at him. You want him as a babyface, you want him as a heel, comedy, serious. You know, I mean, he can pretty much do it all. So, we got behind the scene with a $7 super chat. Says, loved episode 966. Thank you. Go check it out, by the way, if you missed it. Episode 966 of the Sound Off. Maybe Foley got an early copy of Flair's manuscript because the publisher wanted him to write a blurb. Would Gunther... That is possible. If you're wondering what that's in reference to, you have to listen to the Sound Off. Specifically the mailbag. Would Gunther work as a babyface? Yes. Yes. He could work as a babyface. I just think he works a lot better as a heel. Broly, 3 wrestlers in their 20s and none of them winning. 3 wrestlers in their 20s and none of them win. Who are you talking about? We had Javon Evans win in the main event. He's 21 or 22. I don't know what you're referring to. Alex says, brother, imagine a perfect scenario where Rock and Austin are available for Saudi next year. Where do you insert names like Oba and Braun on the card? Yeah, I don't even like envisioning a scenario like that because the focus really right now needs to be on establishing these new names and not on Rock and not on Austin. Obviously, if you have Rock on the show, he's going to be in the main event because it's probably Rock against Roman. It's just that simple. So if you have Rock, he's wrestling Roman, and that's your main event. Austin on the card, I don't even know where you would plug him in other than there's still appeal in an Austin CM Punk match. So that would probably... Now, again, WrestleMania is 2 nights. But to headline those 2 nights with Rock and Austin would be fucking ridiculous. So if anybody is headlining, it's going to be Rock. Strictly because he'd be wrestling Roman. And then Austin against Punk, let's just say if that were the match, you could do that. I mean, you could do that anyway. You could probably do that in the middle of the card. Right? Not opening with it, but if you're not going to headline with it, maybe somewhere in the middle, one of those 2 nights. I think that ship has sailed, though. Mike says, who was the one wrestler that you thought was going to be a really big deal, but turned out to be not such a big deal? Mine was Mr. See, you just named the one I was going to name. Mine was Mr. Kennedy. I really thought he was going to... Well, I thought he was going to be a big star because he was being pushed like one. And he won Money in the Bank, and it seemed pretty obvious to me that he was going to be champion. And then he was going to be Mr. McMahon's bastard son. They had all these plans for him, and they got scuttled. So he would be probably, if not he would be near the top of the list for me. But I also thought that Velveteen Dream, once he made it out of NXT, he was going to be a really big deal. And he crashed and burned, and it didn't work out that way. Those are 2 names right there. Aaron says, who do you think will dethrone Liv? Raquel or Roxanne? It's a good question. I would throw Io in there. Because if Io wins Queen of the Ring, I think there's a very real possibility it could be Io. And we could be looking at Io and Rhea as a crown jewel match later in the year. But of those 2, if it was going to be one or the other, I'm thinking Roxanne. I'm thinking Roxanne. Super Pony, do you think it's more likely Gable wins the IC from Ethan instead of Penta? Gable versus Penta is the better match, but I feel like they want to crown Ethan. Yeah, but if you're going to do it at SummerSlam, there's not enough time. I mean, look, there's time. Let's say if they wanted to do Penta defending against Ethan, let's say at Night of Champions, you could do that, have Ethan win, and then make him a transitional champion, and then he loses to Gable at SummerSlam. But to put the belt on Ethan for like 6 weeks would be pretty lame. So I don't know time-wise if that works, and I do think that Penta and Gable is a more marquee match to do. I still fully expect that Ethan's going to end up with that belt at some point. I just don't like putting it on him just to take it right off him. Same way I feel about Omega. Like if Omega beats MJF, let's say at Redemption at the end of July to win the World Championship, and then defends against Ospreay, and they don't do like a three-way match, let's say, to put the belt back on Omega for the first time after all these years, just to have him transition it a month later to Ospreay, to me is lame. It's one of the reasons why I'm not really big on that idea. Cameron Spencer with a $4.99. Says Brock beating Oba should put him in title contention. Are you down for Roman versus Brock at SummerSlam for the world title? I'm gonna find a sound effect to give you my answer if I can. Here, let's see here. This is my response to that.
Go fuck yourself.
With all due respect. With all due respect. The answer is no. Absolutely not. I hope that answers your question. And Alex with a 5 says, you think Uncle Dave not giving the full 6 stars for the mask versus mask match is just him being bitter it was a WWE match and not an AEW one? Alex, I don't even give a shit. I could not possibly care any less what star ratings he gives mask versus mask. From what I understand, he gave it 5 3/4 star. Like, is this not enough for people? This is the problem. First of all, it's his scale, so he can do whatever he wants. But the reality of something like this is the minute you go beyond 5 stars, you've ruined the entire thing. 5 stars is meant to be like, this is the ceiling. You can't go any higher than this. And you kind of leave it up to people's imaginations. Like, how many more stars do you think the match deserves, right? And you leave it up to the individual. But you don't go beyond that. There's a reason why there's a limit to the scale. The minute he started giving like Omega and Okada 6 stars and 5.5, like the whole thing is a fucking joke. You know, I mean, if it meant something before to people, it doesn't mean anything now. You got to, if your match got 5 3/4 stars, I'd say that's pretty good. But like, who gives a shit that it didn't get the full? What does that mean? It didn't get 6. He gave Undertaker and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 4 3/4 stars. Now, why did he take the 1/4 of a star off? Because of Undertaker's botched dive? Like, I don't know. But to me, that's a 5-star match. I think he gave 3 stars to like Rock and Hogan in WrestleMania 18. Great. I don't give a shit. That's a 5-star match. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the stock that people put into it is so ridiculous. But once the scale was broken and he went beyond 5 stars, it became an instant joke. It doesn't mean anything. What is the difference between a 6-star match and a 5.5-star match? What's the difference? I think the highest he gave was 7 stars. It might have been to one of the Omega Okada matches. It's dumb. Just Nike. Just Nike for me with a $9.99. I know it's hard to believe, but Dom is actually older than Oba. That is, well, I kind of deduced that from the stash, but that is kind of crazy when you think about it. Yeah, what is Dom now? What was Dom, like 27? Meltzer not giving 5 stars at all in the Attitude Era was a joke. Well, I mean, to be fair, there weren't a whole lot of 5-star matches to be found. The Attitude Era was really not about 5-star matches. However, if I was to give an Attitude Era match 5 stars, it would go to Steve Austin and Dude Love at Over the Edge in 98. Like, that to me is the perfect Attitude Era match. But again, that era was not about star ratings. Olivia says, men's Money in the Bank winner. Favorite wrestler from the Ruthless Aggression era. From the Ruthless Aggression era, might have been Young Brock, honestly. Dude was a beast. But there were a lot of great wrestlers during that era. I'd probably go Brock or Kurt. It's probably one of those two. Money in the Bank winner, who knows? Who knows? I have no idea. I don't know who's going to be in the match. All the predictions people are making about the King of the Ring, we're in the middle of the King of the Ring and nobody knows what's going to happen. So Money in the Bank, I have no idea. You know, my early pick for I don't remember if I gave an early pick for the men's. I may have just forgotten it, but I know I picked Roxanne for the women's. But, you know, Money in the Bank is now in October, so that might change things a little bit. I'll stick with her for the time being as my early pick. I could easily see her winning the briefcase. LA Knight. Yeah, no, I'm not picking LA Knight. LA Knight has been in, the last 2 or 3 Money in the Bank matches, and he's basically been screwed each time. So at a certain point, you just stop predicting that someone is going to win Money in the Bank. Roxanne has... I picked Logan. That's right. I did pick Logan. Well, I was probably just fucked out of that one because Logan tore his tricep. That's 5 or 6 months right there. He's probably not even going to be in Money in the Bank. See, that kind of saves me. Because now if he's not in the match at all because of the injury, it doesn't mean I'm wrong. Right? He may have won. I'll have to come up with a different pick. Punk. You know what? Punk may be the correct answer there. I go back to that promo on Cody after WrestleMania. You never know when a championship opportunity may fall from the sky. That's what he said. CM Punk is probably the early favorite for Money in the Bank. You're right. You are probably right. Roxanne has not won a match in ages. Well, she also had the, what was it, a cyst or something that she had removed? Like a benign cyst, I think, from her back. She had surgery and she was out for a while. But yeah, she hasn't won a match in a while. She has to get back in the ring. She hasn't really wrestled much at all. Honestly, she hasn't had very many matches, let alone wins. You can't win matches if you're not wrestling matches. All right, so the goal from earlier was 300 likes, and guess what? We just hit 420. It's quite the number. So let's go ahead and be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
It is time to be the booker. Here at 6 p.m., 6:17 p.m. on a Monday. We are going to be the booker. So if you got any final super chats, get them on in. I'll read your messages, answer your questions before we get out of here. Then I'm going to have dinner and I'm going to get ready to start working on some Uncrowned Wrestling podcast stuff. And watch the Knicks in the background. We have the natural disasters. Earthquake and Typhoon. Look how happy they are. This is probably backstage the night they won those tag team titles. This was their big photo shoot. They're so happy. Let's find out who they're going to be defending those titles against. Putting those marvelous belts on the line against, well, now they're just showing off. We got a lot more belts here. Maybe the most decorated tag team in wrestling history here. In terms of all of the different championships that they've won, it is Team 3D. It is the Dudley Boys. Bubba Ray and Devon. The Dudleys and the Natural Disasters. I like it. I like it. Nice little blend of the old school there. I can dig that. Over on the ladies' side, we got, oh no, it is Brie mode. Just looking at the photo, I can hear it in my head. Like it haunts me in my dreams. Brie Bella. Why did I not realize until just this minute that she has a tattoo down there? I don't know why I never noticed that. It's kind of peeking up there from her waistband. We need someone who can save this match. Someone super talented. Sol Ruca. Now, I'm not saying that Sol Ruca is not super talented, but it's going to take more than Sol Ruca to save that match. That's a no from me. Now, if it was like Io Sky, if it was Asuka, if it was, I don't know, Bull Nakano or something, I could work with that. Sol Ruca is still too inexperienced. She's not going to be able to save that one. I'm sorry. It's not going to work. And now our main event. He's back. He's back again. It is tired, very, very tired Mike Tyson in his AEW Double or Nothing shirt. He was very bored by this episode of Dynamite. I would love to know what was happening at like what match was in the ring when he was in mid yawn like this. I don't remember. Oh, we have tired Mike Tyson. Can't be that tired. It's only 6:20. Ooh. You better wake up, because we got tired Mike Tyson against Samoa Joe. That'd be a fun one. Tired Mike Tyson is now just regular Mike Tyson. Well, hey, it happens to us all. You get to a certain age, we all get tired. There's no shame in that. Samoa Joe against Mike Tyson. There you go. 2 out of 3. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right, we got last call here. Let's see who we got. We got Maze the Great with a 5 spot. If Kurt Angle had stuck around in 2006 and beyond, imagine what him and CM Punk would have been like. Yeah, and that's not even like the best CM Punk. I mean, that's still Ring of Honor era CM Punk, but like that's not like 2011 CM Punk. That would have been something. But yeah, Angle and Punk would have been great. And Philip Bowman, did you watch the Wicked Garden match from Impact? All I heard was Jeff had a plant shoved in his throat. I did not see the Wicked Garden match, so I cannot comment on it. I know it was one of these unique concepts, first time ever type stuff. There's been some other TNA news, which I will address tomorrow on the Uncrowned Wrestling Show. But I didn't see it. Didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. Royce Keys, Ricky Saints, and Cody Rhodes is the new Legacy. Telling you, if he ever goes heel, that could very well be a new faction right there. All right, guys, I'm gonna get you out of here now. We had some fun. We covered what I thought was a good episode of Raw overall. I love the unpredictability that we've been getting with some of these tournament matches. The Dom thing on Friday, not so much. But Javon winning, that was a welcome surprise. It's up in the air right now. Again, it's Oba's to lose, but it's not a guarantee that he's going to win the entire thing if they have some fuckery with Brock. So anything can happen. Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. Where did I hear that? Super Pony, if Brett versus Kurt ever happened, who goes over? Who cares? Who cares? We all win. Brett wrestles Kurt, we all win. Doesn't matter who goes over. Of course, it would be Brett, though. Okay, so tomorrow, there'll be a brand new episode of the Uncrowned Wrestling Show dropping in the afternoon. And then tomorrow night, a brand new installment of Tuesday Night Titans live over on JD's channel. Thankfully, no game to interrupt things. And then Wednesday, I guess I can't say the same about Wednesday, but there will be, in its normal time, a Dynamite post show on Wednesday. And then Friday we have, I guess SmackDown is back in the States. So it's normal time. SmackDown with some more King and Queen of the Ring matches. We are in the final weeks of these 3-hour SmackDowns, thank goodness. I think as of June 26th, I believe it's back to 2 hours, so we only have a few more weeks of this. But we should have a regular schedule for the remainder of the week, I do believe. And then next Monday, Raw's in Baltimore, so it'll be in its normal time, back with you live at 11 p.m. next Monday. We're back to normal until they go to London the following week, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. So that's what the schedule is looking like going forward. Broly, looks like you're going to get the last word, brother. He says, Oba going to get taken out by Brock before Dom's match, and he's going to get replaced by Punk or Jacob. You know, Punk is not a name that we brought up, although I've been talking about wanting a Cody and Punk title match. Can you imagine if Punk gets into the tournament and wins the King of the Ring and challenges Cody at SummerSlam? Now that would be good. See, I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. We could potentially be looking at a SummerSlam card in that scenario where we get 2 title matches that look like Roman and Seth, Punk and Cody, and then Oba and Brock, and then Gable, let's say, wrestling Penta or whoever challenging, for the Intercontinental title on the undercard. I like that. I like that a lot. We'll see. That's where the unpredictability can be a good thing. All right, be well, stay safe. If you are tuning into the game tonight, whoever you're rooting for, enjoy. And I'll see you back tomorrow. 2 more shows coming your way tomorrow. None of which will be on the channel here, but 2 more shows tomorrow nonetheless. I'll see you guys then. Until then, take care.